She's absolutely lovely. That's just as sweet as can be. She is so pretty strong. Oh, I love this stuff. Oh, it's so cool being on a yawl with the spinnaker up and the whole thing going. How great is that? Hi there, this is Captain Q and my old sailing buddy Randy. Join us as we travel hither and yon as we look for some great deals on classic boats and learn a little with each one.
Hey, Captain.
Oh, hey Randy, how are you, pal?
What is this, the Field of Dreams?
It is a field of dreams. Anytime you're in a field next to a bunch of sailboats, you gotta be dreaming. Each one of them just beckons you and wants to suck you right over the edge and sail off into the sunset. But today we're gonna have a chance to look at a 40-foot yawl that was designed and built in 1960. Do you know why she was built in 1960?
No.
Because Carlton Mitchell took a Sparkman Stevens design called Finisterre in 1956, 1958, and then as it turned out in 1960, and won the Bermuda race. No boat's ever done that, 3 in a row. And so that was the old Cruising Club of America, otherwise known as the CCA rating rule, which sort of honored a couple of things. One, beamy boats, shallow draft, and you could have a mizzen without any real penalty. That became the gold standard. And so Ted Hood, who was just burgeoning his design career along with his sailmaking career at that period, decided, I better make a 40-foot centerboard cruiser. And he did that. And one of them is this boat right here today, a boat called Mambo, which she is so pretty. She has the classic sort of S&S design counter to her, and a beautiful little fanny there on the transom. That's just as sweet as can be. And she just has lovely lines from the CCA period of boat building and boat design. And we managed to find this one sort of sitting all by itself in Yarmouth, Maine. The owner of the boat right now is a charitable foundation, which is a sort of a real interesting plus for anybody interested in getting into a boat, reasonable pricing and reasonable payment time, because there's a program where you can buy this boat out actually in the form of a lease over 3 years and then buy the whole thing for $1 at the end. Kind of a neat deal.
There's a really interesting twist to that.
What's that?
Which is if you get 1 year into the lease ownership and you decide it's too much, you can return it and they'll take it off your hands and you don't have to worry about anything else.
But you have paid the first payment though.
Sure.
Right, well that is a nice plus. I mean, you certainly don't want to lose that first payment, but this boat is on the market I think for about $39,000 or so. Let's not talk about losing it, let's talk about taking this boat, which has had an incredible amount of work done to her underbody. In 1966, I sailed down to Bermuda myself on a 40-foot Nevins A yawl designed by Sparkman Stevens, centerboarder, yawl rig, and a couple hundred miles out from Bermuda we lost our spar. And it was a wooden spar then, and that was quite an exciting event.
How did you end it? What caused the loss of the spar?
It was a simple cotter pin that came out of a pin up in the upper rigging. The tang lost the cotter pin, the pin went out, the tang pin went out, and it cracked and cracked all the way down to the winches. This particular boat has got, on our listing site, you'll be able to pull up the listing, and I'm not going to begin to go through it all, but a whole lot of planking has been replaced. Just about everything underwater here that needed to be treated has been dealt with.
So what would be a concern for you if you were to buy an older wooden boat?
If the surveyor goes around and pokes the boat and he finds out that there's no soft spots, in other words, dry rot,
yeah,
for example, that's often one that pops up. There's no planks that have sprung, meaning that they've come undone from their fastenings and they've suddenly gone boing like that.
Yeah.
Then you've probably got a pretty good deal. Now you see these little hairline cracks here. That's in the seams. When this boat sits in the water for a day, 2 days, maybe 3 at the most, those are going to tighten right up. She does have a centerboard in her, by the way, and it's a full bronze centerboard.
So how does that pop out?
You mean it drops out of the bottom of the keel?
Yeah, yeah.
This piece of wood here is a salvageable piece. This has been replaced right here, all along there. It's really designed to be sacrificial.
Yep.
So if you're in southern waters and you have worms or something, they'll eat into that piece of wood, and then, you know, you can just replace it simply next time you haul it. There's nothing very cosmetic about it.
This is the first keel I've seen with a spigot.
Well, that's just to get the water away from the boat. That's the bilge, and that's going to be the drain for the bilge. That's all. And somebody just put a pipe in there, which isn't a bad idea, so that it just doesn't dribble down into the wood.
I was hoping for beer.
You could wait. The top sides, it would be nice to sand these down and shoot it again. External lead on the front of the keel there, you see that? I know you like details, Randall.
Do I?
God, it's painful being around you. Ah. Jesus, mercy. I can touch the centerboard right here.
Okay.
It ends right about here, okay? I mean, it begins here and then runs aft from this point back. It's right under here. And I think it gives it maybe about a 9-foot draft, possibly. We have a transducer for the depth sounder right here, faired in. And there's some other places. Here's the paddle wheel for your speedometer, and I like to see that spin. This is classic old spoon bow. She's teak planked inside diagonally, and then she's carvel planked outside here on the exterior. So she's double planked hull, mahogany on teak.
Wow.
Pretty strong.
And the bilges look pretty full and slack.
Bilges are very full, right.
And what does that sail like when it's rounder like that?
Well, one of the characteristics is that with the newer flatter bilge, in any kind of seaway, especially if you're under power, it's going to pound.
Yeah.
This is the comfort ride. This is the family wagon again that we like. But what do you say we go up and take a look at the top side of this thing?
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
I think it might be interesting to see, and certainly a trip down memory lane for me. We love the subscribers.
Yeah, more subscribers means that we're going to get recommended to more people, and so that helps spread the love and spread the word about old classic boats and what we're doing, so every little bit helps.
Thanks again. Hey Randy, I'm having a bit of a thrill back here.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. You know what year this is?
60, what do we say, 60?
1966. This boat was built in 1960, but I'm in 1966 because that was my first major offshore ocean race on that Nevins 40 yawl. At one point, after the race started, the owner turned to me and said, "Q, can you take the helm?" I said, "Sure." And I got a hold of this puppy right here.
That's the last time you let go of the helm.
It is. As a matter of fact, my fingerprints are still engraved on that wheel, wherever it is, I'm sure. Unfortunately, you know, losing that spar put a bit of a damper on the owner's race to Bermuda.
How did you get to shore?
Actually, we got to shore. First of all, it's interesting. Back then, they had some big ships accompanying the whole fleet all the way. And we had a Coast Guard cutter that was nearby us. And these boats don't carry very much fuel, and I think this is about the same, maybe about 40 gallons. It doesn't get you very far. It gets you in and out of the harbor, and that's about it. And we radioed them and said, we need fuel. And so they sent over a 18 or 20 foot longboat with a bunch of Coast Guard's guys from Indianapolis and the Midwest. And at first we thought they were going to hold us because they came charging up, and there's still a bit of a sea, and they're trying to hand us 5-gallon jugs of gasoline. And then they turned around and went back up to monitor the rest of the fleet, and a U.S. Navy destroyer came by and threw us a tow line.
Wow.
We were towed into Kitchen Shoals, I don't know how long it was, 100, 150 miles, by a U.S. Navy destroyer. Here I am back on one of these boats. Not the same boat, but they're so close. 40, 60 years old for technology. We've got a really very nice, oh, this must be a Danforth compass here, I'm sure.
Constellation?
Our Constellation. Nice bronze binnacle. This isn't been chromed. And the old stanchion base here looks very much like what was made for the PB, so I don't know who did this, and I can't read the wheel here, but I'm going to bet you dollars to donuts that this was done by Edson. She has a throttle and a gear shift lever here on either side, so they operate independently, and a set of engine controls right down by my feet, and that's enclosed in plastic, so that's very nice, and just a little hole there for the key, you see. And right beside it is, that's a little alarm for the oil. I'm sitting right on top of a nice Harkin Traveler with some brand new main sheet on it. Boy, this sort of makes a lot of the other lines look a little tired, doesn't it?
It does.
But this is pretty nice with adjustable stops here, and you can put that wherever you want it. This is a propane chest, and you can see it's got that's about a 30-pound bottle, I think, in there. And it's held up with a spring. It's designed to keep the propane enclosed in a rubber gasketed vessel, and so it doesn't blow the boat up. The mast winches are old school. They're old Merriman. They take a flat handle winch handle that goes right in there. Nothing like the fancy variants that replaced them. The cockpit winches are variants though, and they have been upgraded with the primaries back here that aren't self-tailing, and then I'm not certain what they would rig here. The forward ones they might use for primaries, and the after ones for spinnaker. I don't know. You'd have to go sailing and try it out. There's a nice wind vent. Look at that. Isn't that a beauty?
Is that Darth Vader?
I can't breathe in this thing.
Yeah. This is the backstay adjuster. You tighten this up, and it puts pressure on your headstay. See, all this does is this opens up to give you a handle.
Gotcha.
That's the only reason for it. And you would have this one. You won't get out there. And this one, and you would screw them back and forth like so.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that this is probably the original main sheet winch. And you still could use it to get a couple extra turns. You could lead this down through this block possibly over to this winch. But with 6 parts on here, you've got a lot of power there, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, a nice old Variant 28, and this is a Variant 26. Slightly smaller drum, but self-tailing, and they're all bronze. Those will polish up beautifully. Okay, Randy, still in the cockpit here, we have, first of all, a bridge deck here. And move Sea Dog a little bit.
Sea Dog likes it.
Oh, Sea Dog likes everything. And everybody likes Sea Dog. Here's our speedometer, nice and big. Everybody in the cockpit can see it. And this is probably a wind instrument. Yep, apparent wind. This will tell you how close to the wind you want to sail on either tack. What do you think that is?
I guess experience tells me that would be the centerboard winch.
It is. There's a trip for it someplace. I'll find it elsewhere, but I don't want to drop it right down in the yard. So you haul that up when you're getting off the wind, and you don't need to bite to windward. When you want to bite to windward, you drop it down. It gives you a little more safety, less leeway. I want you to come up on the foredeck with me, take a look around at my working area.
Yeah, let's do it.
Look at the width of this deck on this 40-foot boat, how big it is and how easy to move around. This is a head foil here, and here are the 2 grooves, and you have a choice of putting you've got a sail on here, and it's gone up 1 groove, and here's the feeder for it right here. And this is the lower feeder down here. So the lower feeder, you take the sail, hank it up through here, pull it up, and that gives it a nice even tug and pull. And then you come up here and you feed it into one of these 2 grooves, whichever one doesn't have a sail in it. Then you hoist it up, and you're all set. Now with this rig, you would have this feeder device so that you've got the sail up on this, we'll say on the starboard side, right? And it's hooked in there, and it's sliding right up this groove, all the way up the groove to the top of the mast. Okay, we got that? So then we bring the next sail on, put it through here, and we haul it up on the other side. Usually you try to hoist the new sail on top of the old sail. Why is that?
So you can snake it down on behind it.
Exactly.
What's that block with a pulley down next to the furler?
That's for a blooper.
Oh, okay.
Or, you know, the new thing that they're sailing all the time?
Yep.
You put the tack of that big round sail, sort of like a spinnaker, but it's not in there. Then you hoist it up, and you can furl it. It'll have its own wire in there that you can actually furl the sail up on. Nice bronze fitting hawse holes up here on the bow, port and starboard, and a big, what is this, Maxwell or Ideal? This looks like my old Ideal. Yep, Ideal windlass. And it has an electric switch button right here. Cleats here for a Danforth anchor. You can tell where the flukes are going to live. So they carry a big Danforth up on deck. But boy, she's pretty nice up here. And look what we have again. We just saw one of these on another boat, didn't we?
An actual spinnaker pole.
An actual spinnaker pole. And you know what? It comes complete with a spinnaker pole track. Oh, I love this stuff. Look at the bell. That's a bell, it's called. And the pole will go right in there. And there's a notch on the end of the pole that this trigger, can you see it moving? Mm-hmm. That will lock in place on the pole. Oh, it's so cool being on a yawl with the spinnaker up and the whole thing going. How great is that? Nice old bronze derays here, wind vents. Now they've also done this treatment on the mahogany that I'm not crazy about.
Yeah, I'd be stripping that down immediately.
I think we'd get rid of that real fast. Here's something else they're missing a little piece of something here, I think. This is a carrier for part of a dinghy, and these boats often carried a Dyer dinghy that would live right about in here. But here we are on Mambo. Speedy here wants to go below.
Oh, let's do it.
Brandy.
Yeah.
Come on down, buddy.
Oh, thanks. Oh, a little tight.
We're having a little reenactment here of the captain's first meal at sea, okay?
Okay.
And the cook came out and handed me a plate of food and put it right down there in front of me. And I said, that's great. What do I do now? He said, just start eating. And then I realized as the boat heeled over, the table heeled over too. Oh. So here we were heeling over, and
so it's got like a counterbalance gimbal?
It's a counterbalance. The box you see underneath it is filled with lead. And this other leaf will pop up, but this boat's been discombobulated for engine repair work. But anyway, you would have, this would be gimbaled toward me. So let's see, what tack am I on? That's the high side. So it would be on a port tack, right?
Yep.
And this side would be down. So you're eating your food practically out of your lap, but it's not going anywhere, and your milk stays, flat in the glass. But then they tack the boat over, and the next thing you know, you're on the other side, and so this is still level, but the boat's heeling over, so you got to shovel it in this way. Very cool to have this thing gimbaling like this, and it has an arm brace on here that can release some way. Let me find that. There it is. And then it just settles down and folds up, and then you hook a couple eyes in place down here, and you've got a nice steady center console table. Boom. So weren't so concerned back then with teak and holly soles. This is all probably just teak boards down there right now, I suppose.
Yep.
And it's been salt watered, it's been dirty, but you come down here and scrub this up, holly stone it, as they would say maybe in the old square rigger days, and it'll brighten up into a really pretty wood. And in the meantime, the patina of the whole thing lends a real charm down here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The bits of wood. Now, you're going to say, well, there's a lot of charm in the overhead and the cabin walls. Well, it's just been let go. They haven't been taking care of the boat, but it has not gone far. This is just moisture that's gotten in and peeled up some of the paint inside. And I think overhead, you'd find that the plywood overhead is pretty tight and firm. Also appreciate the beam. These were referred to as beamy boats back then. I think the beam on this, let me just check. I'm going to say it's like 12 or something like that, maybe.
My guess right around 12.
What's that?
My guess is right around 12.
Yeah, I would think something pretty close
Maybe
to
11, 10?
11.5. Randy, here's a story on the engine as I understand it to date.
Okay.
The owner donated this boat. This engine looks great, doesn't it? But apparently she threw a spring on one of the valves. That's what I've heard. Okay. How much damage that do, I don't know, but it must have screwed up the top end because they're trying to find parts for the top end to rebuild it.
What kind of engine is it?
This is a Westerbeek 456. They're going to find some way to replace it. So there will be an engine in this boat if somebody elects to buy it.
Okay.
And it
fully functioning.
Fully functioning, exactly. Okay. Which is very sad because this engine really looks good.
It does. It's in better shape than my engine.
It doesn't even look like it's been a repaint. A lot of times you can open these engines and they've repainted everything. You can tell. How do you tell?
Oh, the hoses and all the other
hoses.
Stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And the belts are tight. Gosh, I don't know.
So I like the access here. It seems pretty great.
The access is great, and there's a ladder here right beside it. When I take this out, you can have even more room.
You can lift that up and it'll pop out.
Well, is it hinged?
Nope. Just lift it straight. Yeah, there you go.
Ah, there we go.
So where's my Raycor and all that?
Oh gosh.
Oh, I see it back there. Yeah, one thing I would do if I bought this, I think, is figure out a battery storage solution that's a little bit more elegant.
Well, at least get them tied down in that place. There may be a weight distribution for those where they are.
Yeah.
And you're going to run out of space. Those are big batteries. Let me put this back in place. This is the refrigeration system. And back then it was no refrigeration. It was just ice cubes. So you'd load on 200 or 300 pounds of ice, and look at the volume, and then the nice stainless paste on there. Is there anything stored in there?
Looks like there's something left over from back in the day.
With this space and this little fold-up piece here, you had a really nice big chart table area, and that was the chart table, and this is where the navigator would live. And there'd be a couple of instruments down here. On the other side, we have a boom galley here. There's a two burner stove, and that's relatively new. Storage-wise, they have this is really old school eating on this boat. That's all you need. It's a really nice, roomy cabin. We never felt crowded with the 6 guys on here racing hard, and another big pilot berth on this side, and the lower settee pulls out as well. All the ports in here, bronze, they're opening, and they're also brand new practically. This boat was built in Japan. Did I mention that?
No.
I don't think so.
Maybe you did because of the Tor.
Tor is the Tor shipping and building company. But they had a nice size head, and this was pretty deluxe back in the day. But of course, Ted goofed again, didn't he? We've got the thwartship's head here, and I'm so sad to see the bits of water and the lack of maintenance on this boat, because right now it can all be caught. Oh. See, there's a hatch somebody's left open. They decided to leave some air in the boat, but it just lets water in when it's raining.
Yeah.
So I'm going to close that. Nice size head, shower arrangement, handle pulls out, and you're going to shower. But then coming forward, Ted liked to have sort of a real cabin, an owner's cabin feel to it. And this is pretty big. And I'm sorry, all these cushions are in our way. We've got some wonderful sails here by, look at, this is brand new. And I think they are brand new. There's a brand new full batten main and a brand new Jenny as well. I think you'd probably want to hang a curtain right beside that mast and give yourself a little bit of a stateroom effect in here. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
And there's a hatch above me. That is locked down. And let's just see this for a second. There we go. Oh, look at, let there be light, huh? Oh. Now that's an interesting rig. You know what that is? That's a safety thing. So if you're down in the islands and you want to leave the hatch open, you can leave it open and nobody can crawl through there. That's really a neat little piece there. I like that a lot. And you get that? See how the frame sits there?
Yep.
And then when you want to let it down, you just undo that and lower it right down. I love touches like that.
Yeah.
They make a boat. We do have opening ports here, opening ports all through the boat. Ventilation is everything, especially on a wooden boat. You want as much ventilation as you can all the time.
To keep out the dampness or what?
To keep the wood dry. In the salt waters, it's not quite so bad. In fresh waters start to rot very fast.
So given this boat and the condition it's in, who's ideally suited for this boat?
This is a sailing dreamer with some technical and woodworking skills, but not a lot. They don't have to be top drawer. They just have to be able to scrape and clean and paint. And I think what you'd find, places where I see stains, I'm just hitting it lightly. A lot of times on boats you'd find that soft. It would get punky on you.
Yeah.
This can be saved right now. You know what this stuff reminds me of too? Coming down here?
Stalactites?
What?
Oh, the Cal 40.
Cal 28. Yeah, exactly. She was loaded with it. And this just pops off, and there's good dry wood right there. Hey, Randy.
Hey!
Who wouldn't want to own a boat that has had Ted Hood's hand on it, right?
Yeah.
He designed a boat called Robin, which he took in the New York Yacht Club cruise one year and won all 5 of the 7 of his events. And boy, that just blew him out of the water. But prior to that, he was like a lot of other people following in the designs of Sparkman Stevens. And of course, the most famous boat of all, in many ways, Finisterre, that won the Bermuda race 3 times in a row. And the neat thing about it is that she can be bought very reasonably through the donation program over a period of time. Right now, as we pointed out, the boat is salvageable, very salvageable. It's just had some moisture that's gotten under some paint inside. Chip it away, dry it out. There is a motor issue that's going to be resolved by the seller before it's sold. There's a lot going for this boat. I'm shooting her right up to a 38 right now.
Woo.
Yeah, I'm taking off. I'm sorry. She floats. I know she's floated. 38, did I say?
Yep.
Gosh, and be able to say I got a Ted Hood Tour 40. You know, that's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
Not just another plastic fantastic.
Super
And
pretty.
that's worth 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We're going to, what was that?
48.
48 for a wooden boat that's going to be the apple of your owner's eye in 2 or 3 years when you get finished polishing all the brass.
48.
48. I'm going to have to deduct a point for the chart table.
1?
In the old days, it worked. So we're taking it down to 47, right?
All right.
Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy the comparison between this and some of the other incredibly expensive new boats that are out there on the market, and the joy that this boat would bring you when you launch it and hoist your sails and sail out of the harbor. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when the next one comes out, please hit the alert bell. And that's not desperate at all. Randy, how would I ever find out what's coming up next?
You can follow us on Instagram here
Yeah.
or Facebook here. We'll have little previews of what's coming up on our next episodes. A little bit early.
That's pretty cool. Previews. You all join me. I'm going to Instagram right now, and I'm going to find out what's coming up next week. Thank you very much.
You know, Instagram's not a place.